So the state treats the LLC as a separate legal entity from you as an individual or you as individuals as partners, and that is how you are afforded your limited liability protection. If something was to happen, it doesn't, roll over to your personal assets. Again, as long as everything is done the way it's supposed to be done, in general, it will not roll over to your personal assets. The claimant or the person who has an issue with you and claim that you are a wrongdoer is only limited to the assets that your company has. So the state treats it as you and your entity, the LLC, as separate legal entities. And when you are filing for your LLC, you want to file in a state in which you are doing business. So this is something that a lot of people don't think about either. Sometimes individuals say, hey, I just want to file my LLC in such and such state because I heard that's a great place to file an LLC, or I want to file it here, but you have to be doing business in that state. I won't go through the list of what's considered doing business because, to be honest with you, there's not really a hard line in the sand on what is considered doing business. A lot of times the conversation is more around what's not doing business. So I guess you could, work backwards and figure out what doing business is in certain states if they tell you what not doing business is. But just offering your product or service, selling it somewhere, someone having access to your product or service, maybe you sell it online or whatever, doesn't necessarily qualify you as doing business in that particular state. The state will let you know what is not doing business, and then you will learn from there what is doing business. But if you are doing business in multiple states or can qualify as doing business in multiple states, then one of the decisions that you want to make is which state do you form, and do you have to form them in each state you're doing business, because that also may be a state requirement. So where you file will depend on where you operate. Also, where you file will depend on the type of protections and costs. So properly filing, you want to make sure that you're, of course, paying all fees. A lot of times individuals will pay the fees to get their LLC up and running, but neglect to pay the annual fee. And depending on when the LLC is formed, you may have to, within that window, turn around in the next couple of months and pay that annual fee. It may not be a whole year that you have, depending on when it is actually filed. They have two separate windows, the Secretary of State, and again, look at your respective state laws. But depending on if are you filing October, are you filing in January, you may have to turn around and do an annual registration in April. So that is something that people don't do. And then they'll get their LLC and either won't file their annual registration within time, or don't file it at all. And they're thinking that, by just establishing it in the beginning, they can just continue to run as an LLC. And that is not the case. You have to make sure that you're paying all the fees. So one of the things you want to think about in properly forming is costs. What fees do you want to pay? I know